like if you're going to go on red side, especially in a matchup where you are the big underdog, you have to get spicy. You have to go for something that's creative, a different counter pick to really create an advantage. Otherwise, just go blue side.
Yeah, and also even Immortals last game, I think even though they were behind, I like that they tried to fight everything and like kind of lose that way instead of like doing nothing and losing.
Yeah, instead of just bleeding out.
But I still think that they should try to find the best fight they can with like being creative, being using TPs, or at least like try to fight in laning phase when they don't have like the item advantage. I think it will be much more helpful for them.
Okay, so first part of the bans, one thing's already going to be different here. Team Liquid are banning out their jungler from the first game. They are replacing one of those first-round marksman bans with the Ivern. The Jace and the Ashe will remain banned away. Meanwhile, on Immortals side, it's the Ziggs and the Sejuani banned out, but it's also the Tristana banned instead of that Maokai. And with the Maokai open, General Umti loves his tanks, and they'll lock that one in for TL.
Yeah, it's been one of the most played for him. It was interesting to see him playing on the Ivern. It's only his actual third Ivern game in his entire career and his first in North America. So, you know, people have been talking a lot about Umti and how he just kind of plays this tank style in NA. But it has been working for him, and I feel like Ivern kind of slots in that similar play style as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think Maokai especially will have a lot, especially when you're ahead. It's so oppressive because with the saplings, it's just everywhere.
Yeah.
And even as a support, when I walk in and I'm just taking like the sapling damage, I have to kind of go back to base and heal up again. So yeah, I think if they can have this strong laning phase again, it will be really powerful.
And even like you're talking about, one of the things I always feel like, you know, beyond even the damage, even if you just ignore the sapling damage, you talk about finding creative angles, finding surprise ways to actually like find a flank off a TP or find some sort of different way to attack. It's so hard when there's a sapling in every brush that kind of spoils the surprise.
Yeah, for sure. It's actually really interesting because IMT have prioritized Ezreal, and usually Ashe is the answer to it. You can still play Kalista into it, but after the nerf, it's not as popular. I think Yeon is still a player who is willing to play Kalista, but we'll see what their answer is.
All right, well, Team Liquid, considering they're not allowed to go back to the Tristana from game number 1, they're just going to lock in that new marksman answer in mid lane with the Lucian picked up against the Corki. The past couple of times that we've seen mid Lucian here in the LCS, it has been accompanied by a support Bard to roam and give him the hot cocoa for the extra synergy and extra bullying power. This time around, not going to be the case. It's Rakan locked in for TL.
This would actually be really interesting, though, because I just double-checked, because I don't think APA had played a single game of Lucian, and I checked he has not played a game of Lucian in the LCS. So if it is going to be Lucian mid for APA, that would be his first time playing it.
But it could be a Yeon angle.
True, it could, but Lucian Rakan, I don't think so. So I think it's going to be mid. And I think we are going to get to see him play another new champion.
Okay.
Yeah. And while, he plays a lot of the marksman mid, Lucian, I do feel like, is a bit of a different beast. It's less about the slow scaling up. You have to be playing aggressive. And especially in team fights, you really have to ride that line where you kind of have to be in danger to be dealing damage and playing it effectively. So I'm really excited to see how he's going to be able to pilot it, assuming he actually is.
The difference between a good Lucian and a bad Lucian is pretty well stated. The difference between a great Lucian and a bad Lucian is a hair's breadth away because they have to play so aggro. They have to play so crazy. And when it looks good, the champion just looks like absolutely stylish. And then when it doesn't look good,
it's like my Lucian. You dash in and you instantly die. You're like, this champ sucks.
Dash, shot, dead. Well, sucks. We'll get him next time. Let's see what happens in the second half of the draft here, as Immortals is going to have Olleh on the Leona. In this one, we have the Zeri banned out. We have the Lilia banned out. So both junglers are going to have to play something different from the first game this time around. Immortals, they recognized, hey, Yeon likes to play that Zyra. We don't want to give it over when we have Leona. We don't want to give it over to be paired with the Rakan, so they'll remove that too.
What kind of pairings would you be thinking about here for the TL side, since they obviously have the Rakan locked in? We don't know what their AD is going to be.
Yeah, I think versus Ezreal, like it's going to be either Kai'Sa if they want to play more of a dive style, or MF if they want to go for like the team fight and like kind of scale. MF is a really good champion versus Ezreal because she builds BT as her first item. So Ezreal's poke starts to not stick at all, and you just kind of naturally win the lane.
How do you feel about MF in general as a champion? Because it hasn't really been that popular in pro, but for a long time it's been pretty successful in solo queue. And when I talk to pros, some people are like, yeah, it's good in solo queue, but that's only because you're playing against bad players. And other people are, more insistent that it actually is a strong pick and it just needs the right setup.
I think I'm more on the side of that. It just needs a right setup, and I think after the buff, it's definitely like played in L's region too. And I think it's getting a little bit picked because I see it in scrims like here and there as well. So you'll see it soon in LCS as well.
All right, the Zyra for Armao this time around. So another one of those fast-paced AP junglers. Yeon again just running down the clock, hovering pretty much every AD carry in League of Legends to keep us guessing as to which one he's actually going to lock in against this Ezreal Leona bottom lane. And
that's a long 0 seconds.
Yeah, really, that second lasted about 5 seconds, but we got Jhin locked in finally.
This is kind of interesting because Immortals comp looks very standard, but also, again, we talked about the importance of getting actual counter picks on red side. Their comp needs a tank. He's just gonna pick Asante or something on 5 again, isn't he? Like, I feel like the comp doesn't really function if you just pick another carry.
I mean, I think in this time they do have a Leona, which can be like a front line for them. But I do think, looking at the IMT like draft style, I do think they might just pick like another tank. But I hope that they can just try to counter pick like the Kennen with like something like more DPS.
Yeah,
is what I'm thinking.
Where's my spice?
Yeah, I just feel like
spice
you need it,
Yeah.
right? If you just lock in a tank here and kind of like self counter pick in the laning phase again 2 rounds in a row, then you are really putting yourself in a tough spot. Gnar, it's like, again, you are kind of doing that self counter pick. Like, this is the matchup that Kennen's pick into the Gnar, and you're like, well, I need an AD top laner because I have an AP jungler. We need something that's frontline. So I'm just counterpicking myself with red side again, which just makes me wonder, why did you go red side? Why didn't you just go blue?
Yeah, I mean, I think the IMT draft style is definitely like a little weird right now, but maybe they'll prove us wrong.
And they do have a solid composition, but
yeah, they do.
I'm not saying this comp sucks. It's more just about playing red side versus blue side and being able to get value out of that 5th pick. Because when you look at the comp, they have lots of poke, they have lots of control, in these areas. If they're the ones that are first to an objective, walking in through Zyra plants and Corki poke and Ezreal poke really can be a nightmare. But I do think that requires you to be playing from an advantage. That requires you to be playing from ahead, which is going to be the difficulty here. Because by the same token, if you're the one showing up second, walking through saplings, and you're walking in blind to Rakan,
He's not pathing through your lane, and try to be stable as much as possible and let Zyra just snowball the game.
Okay, we'll see if they can play around that. It's time to hit Summoner's Rift for maybe the last time this week. But this game is very, very special for one player in particular. As of this game, Impact now has the most games played of all time in the LCS. He passes Wild Turtle. He was a world champion back in Season 3, and he's still running the league from top lane all these years later. A living legend here in a top lane.
Yeah, that is honestly just a crazy stat. He has been here for so long, playing at that super high level for so many years. And he's one of the players that unanimously, when you talk to people who have been his teammate, everyone just has positive things to say about him, about his work ethic, about what he brings to the team.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard anybody have a negative perception of Impact. As Olleh gonna get knocked up into the air here. Immortals wanted to go for the early invade, but the problem is they should have stayed home. It's first blood for APA's Lucian. Tactical even has to use his flash, getting over the wall, trying to escape. That is both flashes down for the Immortals bot lane.
Remake?
Oof.
I mean, that's why I want to say yesterday when Ezreal got 3 kills. But yeah, I didn't really understand that because Zyra is just, like, she will just naturally clear really fast if she just can get her set up. And she's not really strong level 1 champion. Yes, Ezreal and Leona are really strong, but like, Zyra is not really strong. So I didn't really understand that at all.
Yeah. I mean, it also just felt like they weren't even all in, like, set up in that brush, right? It was just Leona standing there as they're going to push Yeon back. It was just Leona standing alone in the brush, and people were kind of too far behind to even capitalize on the initial stun that she got. Like, if you're 5 stacked in the brush and someone walks up, gets stunned, everyone's hitting them immediately, then maybe it works. But it just felt like they weren't even expecting to be contested.
Yeah.
It was definitely a head scratcher, I think we'll call it, as Immortals forced back underneath the Tier 1 turret. I like the fact that Team Liquid is playing so aggressively with these early trades, even being willing to commit CoreJJ's heal just to get everybody's health lower, since they know their opponents have no flashes. Could turn into an easy gank or dive angle once Umti clears through his camps.
And honestly, I don't know how you feel about this, Uhi, but for me, anytime I'm playing against Ezreal, it's night and day whether the Ezreal gets a push or not. Because if Ezreal gets a push, there's not these minions in between him and you, and you're getting poked and prodded. And if you're shoving the Ezreal in constantly, it doesn't feel like he's that threatening at all. And especially in this case where he lost his flash, now he loses what? Like, he's going to lose at least a full wave at the tower.
Yeah, for sure. And even Leona is a stronger champion. Oh, there's a gank going top.
Uh-oh. Castle. Oh, he gets stunned up, so it's not like he can even try to buffer the twisted advance underneath the turret, man. Team Liquid, Impact, and Umti just getting that one done. Textbook execution.
Yeah. I mean, like I was mentioning, I think I'm a support player, so I care about like the support matchup a lot. And when I'm playing Leona into Rakan, and I don't have a winning AD carry, it really sucks because Rakan can just push Leona out 1v1.
Yeah, yeah, that does make it tough. Tactical and Yeon, Tactical I think has been one of those kind of bright spots for Immortals. It does feel like he gets a lot of criticism because I think some of these in these big moments he does fall flat. But he also does feel like when Immortals is winning, he's usually the reason.
Well, 2v2 bottom side, blowing up yet again as CoreJJ dashes away from that last Mystic shot there with the Battle Dance. As you can see, Umti being taken low in the 1v1 against Armao, who, it's just like you were talking about, Armao, he's got more tempo in the jungle. He clears faster, he levels up faster, he's going to beat Maokai in the 1v1, and he forces Umti out of his own jungle.
And the APA got first blood, but he never even based. So he actually forced the flash in the 1v1 against Mask without having a flash of his own. He was down the summoner, hadn't based yet, forces the flash. Now TP's back with the much better buy. He had a good 1,100 gold to spend there. And now Mask is potentially going to be in some trouble because APA is going to have his flash up largely before Mask does. He's already down 10 CS, and APA is going to be bullying him.
Yeah, APA with that Vamp Scepter for the extra sustain. They're going to match refillable potions, so he's feeling great about the way this mid lane is looking right now. Again, expect to see Umti or CoreJJ try to make a move on this flashless enemy Corki, as Olleh and Core have both made their way into the mid lane now. Could get ourselves... You see, normally, this marksman and support thing is a bot lane occurrence. But in this season, we do it mid lane instead, as Olleh and Core, neither one of them's going to find anything. They'll head home.
And in solo queue, you can really go to any lane, because top lane are going to be marksmen, maybe Kindred Graves in the jungle, just go anywhere, and you're playing bot lane.
Sports are having a great time, man. Transferable job skills can go all over Summoner's Rift, as Olleh wants to try to lead the charge here. Finds the Shield of Daybreak on Core, but he can just, again, Battle Dance right back away. So easy to disengage on the Rakan.
So Hui, talk to me a little bit about, when you're in a situation where it's like, okay, your mid laner is in a matchup like this, where he's down early, he's getting pressured, and you need to support him so he can actually stay safe and push out those waves. But how do you balance that versus, worrying about the 2v2 where they're kind of playing from an advantageous position?
Are you talking about 2v2 like advantage in bot or in mid?
Either or, really. Because I feel like it's like, if you're roaming to mid to try to help a losing matchup, and you're losing that 2v2, how do you kind of balance that?
I mean, there's not much balance. You just kind of have to choose. you just kind of have to choose who are you gonna help.
Yeah.
Yesterday, when I was playing versus Bard as a rel, and Ezreal had 3 items. I know Bard is not bottom, but he can still be bottom. He can be mid. He can be top. So all I can say is, guys, he can be anywhere, and please do not die. I'll try to come when I can. That's all you can do.
Engage once again, coming out from the Immortals bottom lane as Olleh leads the charge. Yeon and Core continuing their disengage as the heal is used. Nice deadly flourish from Yeon to lock up Tactical, who's down to 100 HP. And Olleh's got to try to keep him protected here. Meanwhile, topside, that's going to be a 2v2 up there as well. Olleh knocked up into the air while the stun on Castle coming out from Impact here with a slicing. Maelstrom might turn into a kill. Olleh going to sidestep Deadly Flourish here in the bottom lane at the same time as Impact misses that Shuriken. Castle gets away back underneath the Turbine and Tactical, and Olleh going to be doing the same thing. Team Liquid made 2 moves in 2 places, but no kills coming out. Immortals evade the assault, and Umti starting up the grubs at the same time, but hold on, wait a second, Armao coming down to try to stop him. Armao is level 6, Umti only now level 5. Twisted advance into the flash to immediately try to leave because Mask is also showing up and Castle is following right behind. Flash for the lockup, Umti's trying to get away, but it ain't gonna work. Mask is on the board for Immortals. APA trying to come in and get one back, and he is gonna find the kill on Castle, but now he drops a double kill back over to Mask, and Immortals get a 2-for-1 trade.
That is actually so big for Immortals, getting something back on that top side. Not only do they push Umti out, they get the kill on him, they get the flash off him, and they get the shutdown on APA plus his flash as well. So yeah, they lose a kill, yeah, they lose out on fights on the side lanes, but it was imperative that they get something back off of the back of those couple plays.
Yeah, I mean, this was such a huge advantage for IMT because Zyra is already 6 and Umti just hit 5. So any fight around the 2 jungler, IMT will always win.
And I think it was smart that he didn't just overcommit and just waste the Stranglethorns on that initial kill. He saved that, and I think that's what allowed them to kind of turn around on APA. APA flashes in, then all of a sudden you're stuck in the middle of that Stranglethorns. You're going to get popped up, and there's no way you're going to be able to do anything more than just getting that 1 kill.
Nicely done there for Immortals to keep this game closer, despite the fact that the level 1 felt pretty busted from Immortals, right? Like, they're way better straights than they were in the previous game at this same time. Game number 1 at this point in time, I believe they were already down 1,000, maybe even 1,500 gold. This time around, hey, 500, not bad.
Well, and that's the thing that's just kind of heartbreaking about it, you know, to go back to who he was talking about, where it's like, you know, Zyra is going to outpace you in the jungle. Why are we, you know, flipping the game at level 1? They're this close with how horrible level 1 went. What would the game be looking like if APA didn't start with First Blood, if you didn't start that far behind?
Yeah, I mean, now I think they're trying to stabilize it as much as possible. They kind of realize that their advantage is around Zyra, so they're trying to put the Ezreal into mid lane so that like
down 2 levels.
Yeah. He's also down on lots of CS, but yeah, I think to make it less spicy, this is what they have to do.
Okay. The only gold lead for Immortals for an individual player is Armao on the Zyra. 2 assists, massive farm advantage. It's exactly what we were talking about with being ahead in the tempo. You can see he's halfway to level 8. Umti, not even that far on his own progression towards just level 7, but Umti will be able to secure the first Drake of the game thanks to the protection of his teammates and the control in mid and bottom lane.
How much do you worry about, you know, this kind of handicapping the Corki, who just got the 2 kills, but now you're sharing XP? And I always feel like so much of the power in Corki is getting the rank ups of your ultis, right? You know, being able to get that solo XP so you can get to, you know, level 11 with the Triforce, etc.
I mean, for sure, I think as a support, you don't really want to share XP with especially your solo laners as much, but you also kind of have to be there to protect the dive.
Yeah.
Ooh, Impact. Wanting to maybe have a chance to fight this one out as Umti shows up. They're going to try to focus Armao down first, and yes, they got him. Impact going to be kept alive with a battle dance. Armao ends up getting the kill thanks to the plants. That was so close to a tragedy for Immortals, but it will be a 1-for-1 trade.
Impact played that really well. He bought so much time in that 1v2 and actually forced them. Then they realized, okay, TL's coming. We need to actually force this. So then the Zyra steps forward and gets caught in the slicing maelstrom. So he gets so much damage down on both of them. This is just really smart. He drops the ward in the mid bush. He steps up. He's buying time here. Then getting in on both of them. Gets the ulti down on 2. Umti arrives and very nearly Core was able to save him here.
This was so close, man. The plants, I actually don't think if they weren't enraged by the Stranglethorns, I don't think they would have had the DPS.
Oh, I don't see anyone.
Yeah, for a second he's like, I'm dead? Maybe not.
The roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah,
it's a very
yeah.
short roller coaster because it was only a 3-second fight, but
Well, even after, they know, like, they were pretty happy with that result. So, like, like, you know, the answer is, like, gabi gabi, which means, like, oh, nice try in Korean. So I think it was pretty nice.
yeah, hey, it works out, man. We got a 600 gold lead now for Team Liquid as, once again, Tactical just trying to catch up here to Yeon on the Jhin. Pretty much tied for the biggest gold lead in the game with Armao over Umti is Yeon's advantage on this Jhin. We'll see how accurate he can be with the big ultis and the deadly flourishes as the game goes on. He has had a couple of good hits on that deadly flourish here so far, as we don't have any neutral objectives to fight over for the next 3 minutes. So instead, we're going back into the top lane as APA is the target, and Immortals are going to commit an extra teleport up here to guarantee that they get the kill, and Mask is going to take it.
That seemed a bit much. I feel like they must have thought someone else from TL was coming.
No, I don't think it was to guarantee the kill.
Just the TP to give the gold to him?
Yeah, I think it was to give the gold because no one can exist on boss side, and they were making a top side play. So Gnar is naturally going to base and go bottom, and they're going to maybe lose the tower or defend it, but they want just more resources on their Corki side. So, like, Corki is just TPing up, catching the wave, and also getting the kill.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because it's like, I guess it just feels like for a guaranteed kill, it seems like a lot to spend just to give that gold over to the Corki, but maybe it'll be worthwhile. Because now, you know, the problem is on the other side. Gnar goes down bot, but now you don't have a TP to actually answer and defend, and there's 3 TL members standing around there. So yeah, you give a little bit more gold to the Corki, but now it's actually difficult for them to even walk up to the tower. So they lost a full wave, if not 2 full waves, to the turret, not being able to walk up. Where, in my mind at least, if Corki has TP, maybe Corki can, you know, be able to actually help them.
Yeah, maybe, but I think they just didn't want to take that risk because they understand that they're going to win the game by playing through Corki and Zyra, not through by Gnar having more farm. So I think they just, even though they lose a little more, I think they just want to guarantee that Corki is always comfortable.
Top lane just doesn't matter. You heard it here from who?
There it is.
Don't tell to my top laner, okay?
I think you already did by saying he's not allowed to play top lane Varus.
Exactly, my friends. There are 4 marksmen in the game. Neither one of them are top laners. Let's focus on the important things here, and the important things are Lucian and Corki. As you can see, the Blade of the Ruined King and Trinity Force completed for both of those mid laners, respectively. First items are kind of coming online in a variety of different places here. You can see the Static Shiv for Yeon's Jhin. You can see the... What is that thing? Zeke's Convergence, that's the name. Forgot it there for a second for Umti. Nice cheap item for tank junglers that even though you don't have the same pace as somebody like Armao on the Zyra, you can still get that first item completion around the same time because of the price point.
It's also just so efficient. It has armor, has armor, has health, has ability haste. The proc is decent, so it is a really, really strong one-item spike on a cheap item. But Armao definitely going to be really strong potentially in some of these next fights, especially once you do get to Rylai's. When you're on Rylai's Leandries pretty early as a Zyra, it is very difficult if you ignore this guy, if you're trying to dive onto one of these marksmen and he can get multiple plants out, pop the ulti. You're trying to walk through those things, they will tear you up. So it's going to be up to Immortals to have the right setup to get this poke down prior to the fights to try to negate some of that hard engage that could come out from Core and Umti. Because if they're at full health and they get that go button, you're probably going to die. But if they're sitting around 60, 70%, all of a sudden maybe they're kind of scared to actually go in.
Yeah. Armao clearing through his next blue buff here. CoreJJ, it's not really like a little 6 Rakan can do a whole lot about this. So he'll just be hanging out, making sure that nobody is going to pass through this area to make a move towards Yeon at the same time.
Yeah, so the second dragon is coming up, and I think they just understand this time that they don't even have to try to contest it because it's just a second dragon. They will rather put more resources on Corki's side, so they're just moving to top side and trying to trade gold here, which I think is really smart for them to do.
Yeah. I'm down for it, and it looks like that's exactly what we're getting as Team Liquid will pick up their second Drake of the game. So first 2 going their way, and it is an Infernal Soul, so very high value on that as well. As APA recognizes, hey, my team's on the bottom half of the map. Immortals did not contest. They've got to be nearby. I'm going to back away so he doesn't get punished here underneath the tier 1 turret. Meanwhile, Armao soloing down the Rift Herald. Zyra is very, very fast at neutral objectives, so Armao is having no issue with this one whatsoever. That's going to get secured as now Olleh trying to exit out of the enemy jungle, but Team Liquid can't really do much of a punish on him as Mask finds a lot of damage there on APA, who just got a little bit too feisty trying to get up there and get the farm, forced to use his flash to escape from the Corki.
APA has really kind of been on the back foot, it feels like, for the last couple of minutes. Obviously, you know, did start with that first blood, was able to get another kill, but they are putting pressure on him, and so much gold has been successfully donated over to the Corki that he's getting strong.
Yeah, now a nice big engage coming out from Team Liquid. They aren't going to kill anybody here just yet, but Armao is going to get shut down. Curtain call. 4th shot, not going to find it, but the deadly flourish locks up Olleh right when it looked like things might have been turning brighter for Immortals. Team Liquid turns off the light.
That is just a great play from TL. The collapse comes in so expertly. Impact comes in with a TP. Yeon is roaming up the river and is able to actually answer with that ult. IMT are going to try to trade a tower down on bot lane. They are going to be able to get this tier 1, but TL going to be pushing that tower on top side as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just about like the patience game. TL is just being way more patient, waiting for the right opportunity. And IMT, even though they were in a really good spot here, they're like trying to overforce this tower, which was kind of meaningless to do, and they're kind of putting themselves in a really bad position. Zyra is tanking tower forever, and now it just became a really bad fight for them.
Uh-oh. Impact is not in a very good spot right now. I don't really think he lives this in any world. We'll see if he can get any kind of value out of it, but the answer is no. And gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think these first 16.5 minutes from Immortals in game number 2 have been really good, considering the expectations of this head-to-head.
They absolutely have, but this is the thing, like I was talking about, you know, they lead the league in that closest net. They are good at keeping games close. They're good at keeping games competitive. They're not good at closing the games out, right? So what do you think are the next steps here for Immortals? You talk about, you know, them maybe not having enough patience. What would you like to see them get done in the next kind of 5 minutes if they were to try to win this game?
I mean, even though I think they were in a good spot, but because of the previous play, they were kind of even now, but they're still in a decent spot for them to win the game. So they just have to wait for their Corki item spike and the Zyra item spike. They still have a Herald. So this Herald, they just have to give it gracefully and try to aim for the next dragon fight. Use the Herald to like get first objective control and try to use the Corki and the Zyra pokes.
First turret being forced down in all 3 lanes now as Team Liquid will open up the map a little bit more for themselves. Immortals has taken down the tier 1s in both side lanes, but that tier 1 mid is just so important for being able to step forward, establish more control over the map, establish more vision, look for some of those picks, and they still have yet to take it out. That next Drake spawning in just under 2 minutes. and we'll see. I don't expect Immortals to just let this one go. I don't expect them to just allow Team Liquid to have a free soul point with how close the game is. But again, let's go back to what you guys were talking about in the draft. It's all about who shows up first. Don't be late to the party because both comps struggle having to face check.
Well, and that's like who he was saying, you know, Immortals are going to have the advantage for this next one because they have the Herald, right? So you can use the Herald, drop that, force a response, or get the free tower from it, and that can hopefully get them the first setup.
Okay, Olleh's going in after Umti here. Armao hanging around behind him, but now APA is also nearby. Olleh's got to be a little bit careful. Leona no longer has the Eclipse, no longer has the Aftershock, no longer welcome in the Team Liquid jungle as Yeon opens up the curtain call. Gonna try to put those bullets into Mask. Fourth shot, ain't gonna find him. But the Maokai ulti into the quickness, ready for the follow-up here. Deadly flourish from long range, and APA brings in the cannons to get it done. Man, just when you were thinking Immortals should have had the advantage here in this fight, it ends up going Team Liquid's way. However, Impact is traded back on the other side of the map.
Solo killed by Castle in the top lane. So Castle is able to get something back on the side lane, and that is actually really, really big. Kennen always known as one of these champions that has the early lane dominance, but Ken starts to really struggle, I think, you know, in those isolated 1v1s later on in the game, where you no longer have enough burst to actually take them down, and you don't necessarily have the sustained damage. Like, look at this, Castle just kind of simply running him down, even with the flash expended there by Impact. Castle doesn't even need to use his own to get the kill.
Yeah, easy peasy, man. Doesn't even connect the ulti, but still picking it up. Nice looks for Castle.
And that's one of those situations I'm actually pretty surprised is a rare mistake, I think, from Impact. Normally in those spots, I think he would just die without flashing because the more important fight is this dragon, right? And Kennen without flash is so costly. In a lot of cases, I always see Impact just save his resources, take a death, and then be ready for that next fight. So surprising to see him die and use the flash in top lane.
Yeah, for sure. I think this dragon will probably decide IMT's fate. Now they're kind of getting pushed in, which is not that great, but hopefully they can try to get some towers here.
Castle's driving the Uber.
He's going to be so far ahead of the team, though, and Corki's
yeah, he's really far forward. The Herald should be able to finish off the German Impact coming around from behind. The slicing Maelstrom cuts Tactical to pieces, and Armao goes right with them. Boys, we aren't going to get a dragon fight at all because Team Liquid just wiped Immortals off the map. Yeon's going firing, kaboom! One shot, one kill. Baron just spawned, and Team Liquid is heading over to the pit.
Ah, the wheels fall off for Immortals. Man, they were actually in a good spot to set that up, but Mask is pushing bot. He actually wants to base to be able to buy the Muramana, which is almost fully stacked. But you're driving the Herald past the rest of your team, forcing yourself to commit to this play when your mid laner, your strongest person that you donated all this gold to, isn't even there. And Immortals just get way over eager, punish themselves so hard with that. You know, Ezreal's forced to push forward. Impact gets the flank without even having flash because they kind of just serve themselves up. Like, look where Corki is. Corki is pushing bot, basing to get an item. And what are we doing here? We're so far up, you're going to get collapsed on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like the pressure is kind of eating up to them. They just have to like really calm down and like, I don't know, just refocus because the game is still not lost. They have a really good calm. They managed to get the dragon even after that. They have 2 tiers.
Oh, but we're not done. Now it's more problems for Immortals as Olleh is going to be here on the front line, soaking up all the damage. Impact into the middle. The slicing Maelstrom's going to claim the first. Castle trying to disrupt the backline, going after Yeon as APA kites out Mask, looking to hit him with a calling, but it ain't going to work because Mask gets the kill. Castle still trying to find Yeon, not going to work out. Umti ready to lock him down here with a twisted advance as the Mega Gnar just buys a couple of more seconds. Yeon needs to reload the damn gun. One more magazine might just do it. The deadly flourish, point blank. He flashes the wall up and he gets it as Impact finishes off the kill on Mask and bot at the same time. They might have lost APA, but they got 4 back in trade.
Yeah, it just doesn't matter. TL outfight across the map. It breaks into all these little skirmishes. TL winning out on both sides.
I actually think it was 5, and Olleh is just so low leveled that he respawned before the fight actually finished. That's a bit of a tragedy, boys. This game was so close for so long, and now it is a 5,000 gold lead for TL. The prophecy fulfilled with Immortals in their close games, but then as soon as it breaks away from them, it's off to the races.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, you just cannot afford to make a big mistake against that. Against a team like Team Liquid. You know, they're going to murder you every time if you give them an opportunity like that. And they were just waiting for that mistake from Immortals. They overforce and they get roasted for it. And now out back on the map, but just really, really tough to actually play out the game from this spot because they're so far behind now. You can see, you know, the IE is going to be coming in here for Yeon relatively soon. That's going to be a massive spike for him.
Yeah, I mean, even Maokai is out leveling Zyra at this point.
Oh no.
It's just really hard for IMT now. I think they just have to kind of beg or like pray that TL makes a huge mistake so that like they get picked or like they somehow come back into the game.
I like the image of begging for it. It's like, please, sir, one jungle camp, just one.
Just one int.
Yeah.
Please, just one guy. Don't ward and face check a brush. The mid
Crop
lane
of gold.
The mid lane tier 2 is gone. The enchanted cannon minion, gonna make sure of that. True shot barrage, fired down to try to answer the wave here in top. As Umti walks in front of everybody on Immortals. Needs to be a little bit safer there. Twisted advances back towards the Zyra plant to go for the iframes, keep himself a little bit healthier. But the curtain call is ready to go once more. Olleh trying to escape. Where's the fourth shot? Don't even need it here just yet. Impact going in for the engage. He pops the Zonias, staying alive as Armao is down. A nice deadly flourish. CoreJJ with a grand entrance over the wall to finish the job. Impact might have died, but it's still a 2-for-1 trade for TL. Castle trying to get something else back. Oh, if that deadly flourish would have hit, he surely would have fallen.
Yeah, there's some low health bars on TL, but it just doesn't matter. They can't chase in past the carries. Yeon and APA full health, and at the end of the day, that is what matters. They're taking over their opponent's jungle. They're farming away all these additional camps, and they're just going to continue to extend the gold lead. It becomes so hard to come back in a game when you lose control of your jungle because it's just this multiplicative effect where they're getting further and further and further ahead.
It's a tough one, boys. It's a tough one. Upcoming opponents for TL. We've been hyping up next week. That is a huge head-to-head against Cloud9. Likely the 2 undefeated teams, unless Immortals has a water-to-wine type of miracle here. But then after that, buddy, we got another showdown coming up.
After that, that's the most important match of the season, guys.
I mean, it's going to be a big one. And Energy has been, and previously CLG, one of those blue shell teams, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, if they are able to actually beat C9, you guys would be the only ones standing in between them and an undefeated season. So
yeah, and
that would be the opportunity to play spoiler.
Yeah, for sure. And even though we lost yesterday versus C9, I think we still feel good about our own improvements. It's not really about like, it is about like getting the W, but like we still, it's pretty important to stay positive and like kind of like be acknowledging your own improvement, and I think we can definitely get there by the playoffs.
I agree. I mean, if you get too down on yourselves, it's going to be really hard to actually maintain. And the season is a long grind. And at the end of the day, it's playoffs that is going to dictate what people remember about the split, right? You know, if you have a bad regular season and an incredible playoffs, people remember that. If you have an incredible regular season and a terrible playoffs, people remember that too for the wrong reasons. Like think back to old Immortals. The Lucian top is still burned into my brain. That was like 8 years ago or something.
2016, man. Yeah. I remember the run because everybody was freaking out. Oh my gosh, this is looking like one of the best teams the LCS has ever seen. But then playoffs came and they crumbled. Right now, Team Liquid is looking to make Immortals crumble again. They're pushing into the base. There is no contest here for the tier 3 turret in mid lane. That inhibitor is going to drop right after 6,500 gold lead. Immortals just trying to defend whatever they can here, but with the inhibitor gone, Mask still recalling. Team Liquid still has control over the push. Going to crash another wave, this time into the bottom lane. However, there is plenty of wave clear on the side of IMT, so I expect Team Liquid to be ready to play for this Baron spawning here in about 25 seconds. They can grab the Drake in the meantime and just continue moving this game forward.
All right, Hui, if you could join in and make it a 6v5 for Immortals, do you think you could win from this spot?
6v5.
Yeah, 6v5.
Well, like I'm like an even level as them.
You can have the same amount of gold as CoreJJ.
Yeah, you have CoreJJ's economy.
For sure?
I think so.
For sure? Okay.
Let's say, because like +1 champion just will bring like so much more tankiness, so much more crowd control. So yeah. Well, I hope I can do that.
I was going to say, after this, it might just be a 5v5 again because right now, Immortals just lost another man. TP coming in from both sides as Mask makes his entry into the fight first, but now he's got to be careful because Impact and Core are coming to hunt him down. Umti, you can see the Zeke's convergence. He was using the ulti to keep Immortals zoned away as the tier 3 turret falls in the bottom lane. Now the inhibitor is next in Team Liquid's sights. They might not even need the Baron. Looks like they are going to back away from now. They did grab that Infernal Drake in the meantime, so they are at soul point. If somehow Immortals manages to hold on through these next 4 minutes of what we can expect to be a Team Liquid Baron attempt, a Team Liquid Baron push afterwards, they're still going to have to deal with TL going after the soul for the rest of the game.
Yeah, that's going to be really, really tough. But honestly, I feel like this is one of those games where it's probably not going to matter about the soul because Immortals is going to be forced to come out of their base, and fight either the Baron or fight for the soul. It's going to be a team fight win, and then likely TL do close it out. If you're Immortals and you're playing out this game, obviously they know they're in a really tough spot. what are the kind of comms that you're trying to look to try to set up something? Like, is it just five-man stack in a brush? Like, what are we trying to do here to maybe look for that miracle play?
I mean, it's just like they're gonna be consistently on the timer, like mid and bot. In it, minions are gonna be pushing into your base, so it's gonna be either praying for Armao, like, please can you get a smite steal, like somehow, like just get that Baron for us, or they're gonna just try to force something.
Here we go.
Like just now.
All right, we got the TP coming in as Yeon has to try to get away, but Castle's right behind him. Yeon walked into a trap, but APA has already killed off Mask. Armao dies right beside him. Nice big ulti coming in from the Gnar.
Oh.
Castle doing everything he can to keep this game going, but it's a double kill for APA before we get shut down. A 3 for 2.
Nexus
Favors TL. The Nexus is under pressure, and Impact's getting another kill. Castle is on the run, the only man left standing. The Gnar trying to get away, but I don't think it's gonna work. They got the damage. They'll take him out. A double kill for Impact. The ace for Team Liquid. And there's just not enough time. There's not enough turrets. There's not a way for Immortals to bring it back now. There's still 10 seconds before anybody comes back alive. TL, this second game was a little bit closer than that first one, but it ain't gonna matter anyway. Team Liquid's undefeated match streak continues as they defeat Immortals 2-0.
It was a good Hail Mary there from Immortals. That final attempt, the flank was nice, but on the other side of the fight, it just didn't matter. TL pushed forward, a race Mask, a race tactical, and Castle and Olleh not going to be enough to get it done at the end of that fight. That's a tough pill to swallow for Immortals because I do think they were in a good spot. When you go back and you watch that game, you're going to see the opportunities that you had where maybe you overforced, where maybe you didn't need to go for it. And those are just the mistakes you cannot make against the TL, who's looking too damn good, too damn solid. Another win for them. Only 2 series away from the undefeated split. They're the reigning champions. They're coming off of a strong international performance, and they are definitely the team to beat right now.
Really, really impressive stuff from this squad who just continues to impress. And now it's time to join Raz and the player with the most games played in the LCS history on stage for an interview.
You just heard Flowers. Congratulations on the win, Impact, and congratulations on being a player with the most games played in LCS history, surpassing Wild Turtle. Everyone, congratulations on that. First reactions just to hearing that.
Oh, actually, I didn't know that. But good to hear, you know, like, kind of crazy about, what I should say. Actually, I didn't think about that. I'm thinking about game, actually, so I can answer that, but thanks, guys.
So let me kind of dig a little bit deeper because we already celebrated earlier on in the split that you had the most wins in LCS history, the fact that you have now the most games in LCS history, the teammates, the former teammates that have always talked positively about you. Just reflecting back on the history and kind of the experience that you've had, what's an immediate feeling and takeaway that you have from this?
That's a good question. Let me think.
Take all the time.
That's hard to answer. I mean, to me, my goal to professional gamer, just be positive as can. That's why I think people saying to me nice. To example, Inspire or Jojo or anyone, just my teammate, all teammates saying nice to me. So I mean, that's good to hear. But I still not win one day. I not win the world championship. Yeah. So my goal is not done. You know, it's.
Hell yes. You're talking about your goals not done. So far, you have the most player of the series. You just won Player of the Week 2 weeks ago. It feels like you are the front runner of winning MVP with how well you have been playing this split. So it always feels like as much as you are the teacher to other players, you're still a student in the game. How do you feel, how do you push yourself to continue to improve for how long you've been playing?
I mean, this one is not playing against AI. Always play against human. Also, League is always patching different, right? Always patching something change. So you have to learn always. So. That's why I like it, because you can learn something more. Because people 10 years ago made us so different than now. Everything always changed. That's how I get motivation more from game is changed, so I can learn something more. Example, people say I play tank only, something like that. But by the way, that's matter. That time tanker is matter. Now it's kind of bruiser and carry matter, so I can play that. So like just up to meta, but I like it. I'm enjoying that. But
Let's talk about your mentality. Because I've had a few interviews with you. Anytime I see an interview with you and someone tries to say anything positively or speak you up, you're always the first one to be like, actually, I messed up in this and this and this. Like, it always feels like you push yourself. That's always been the mentality that you had. Can you talk about your mentality just a little bit more? Because it's something that has defined you as a player, that has made teams like these continue to kind of grow and get better.
I mean, it's my logic. It's like human cannot be perfect, but always human should be like perfect. You know, that's my goal to like, especially like my game knowledge. That's why let me think. I mean, that's why I try that just most like just running or something. I mean, I hard to answer now because my head actually empty now.
That's fair, that's fair. We'll move on to the next topic. The next topic for me, everybody's been talking about it a little bit. It's the two juggernaut teams, Team Liquid versus Cloud9 next week. That's going to be the matchup. You're going to be going up against Thanatos in particular, a bright, new, young talent. Any thoughts about just the team you're facing and the player you're facing?
Honestly, I don't care that much. Like, I mean, I care about C9 because I think how they improve from spring season to now summer spring is so different than before. I think now people can say to them like, oh, they look like team, but people like what they're doing. Like they're just one by each play different game, but now they play like team. So I respect that. So I'm looking forward against C9 about like team stuff thing, more like team fighting. But against Thanatos, it's okay. It's fine. I mean, to me, I mean he's not bad, but like. I just played the EWC and like MSI. You know, I'm hungry, so it's not enough to me against, you know.
I like that hunger. One last message to the fans out there who've been supporting you throughout your entire career. One more time, guys, and also one last message to those guys.
I mean, to me, like surprisingly, so many people be here because before 2 weeks ago. We playing the cage matchup, so no one there. After game is gone, I like, am I like playing like just university like stage game, something like that? Is no one here? Oh, but now I can play that. Oh, finally I'm playing the stage. So thanks to come here, guys, and thanks for cheer for us, and thank you, Honda.
That's a good message. Thank you, Honda, and I'll be sending us straight to the back. Thank you, guys.